very serious. I want you not to take it lightly. Because they will, if you're not learning, if you don't know your faith, they will trick you. I can assure you. They will trick you. They say stuff that sounds so real and so history-like. But if you don't know your stuff, you're a dead meat. That's why I tell you, be careful. And don't let anybody shake you by that. Because what you have in your church is solid, it's gold. There is nothing that actually can be like it at all. So there is a lot of that coming out recently. And many, many other teachings that came out recently. Okay, so let us go to what St. Peter would call the false prophets. He called them 4 things. First of all, he called them, they look like the people in the time of Noah, people of Noah. People of Lot. And then 2 animals. What did he call them? Open the chapter 2 and let's look at the 2 animals that he's describing them like. Here comes Shadi. Shadi Kromzabedi. Where are you going to sit? Where's the favorite place in the house? The best place in the house? Here in the corner? Good. Save me, save me, save me, Samir, save me. I cannot be under the spotlight alone. I have to have a company. No, the saying, misery likes company. Okay. So what are the 2 animals? Let's read the second part of the chapter. How about Rose? Can you read for us, Rose? Read the second chapter of Peter. Read it from the beginning and we'll come to the second part. Second chapter of Peter. How many chapters, 2 Peter?
3.
Yes, so we're going to have to finish it today. Go ahead. Read the chapter 2, all of it.
But there were also false prophets among the people, even as there were false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies, even denying the Lord who brought them, and bring on themselves swift destruction. And many will follow their destructive ways, because of whom we went through the blasphemy. By covetousness they will exploit you with deceptive words. For a long time their judgment has not been idle, and their destruction is not slumbered. For God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved for judgment. I did not spare the ancient world, but saved Noah, one of 8 people, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in his light on the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them to destruction, making them an example to those who afterward would live ungodly, and delivered righteous Lot, who was oppressed by the filthy conduct of the wicked. For that righteous man, dwelling among them, tormented his righteous soul from day to day by seeing and hearing their lawless deeds. Then the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust under punishment for the day of judgment, and especially those who walk according to the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise authority.
So these heresies he's talking about has to do with sexual stuff. This is teaching that involves sexual stuff. There was a specific one that actually the book of Revelation is going to talk a lot about. It's called the heresy of the Nicolaitans. Apparently a person was called Nicolaus or Nicolaitius, who taught that they can share their wives in the church. And that's what I heard from history. And this was a heresy, like sharing everything else. It is very disgusting until like the book of Revelation spoke about it almost 4 times. Because of the life that people lived in the Roman Empire, it was very promiscuous, very bad. So these are real things happened. Okay, continue.
They are presumptuous, self-willed. They are not afraid to speak evil of
Dignitaries.
Whereas angels who are greater in power and might do not bring a reviling accusation against them before the Lord. But these, like natural brute beasts, made to be caught and destroyed, speak evil of the things they do not understand, and will utterly perish in that day. receive the wages of unrighteousness as those who counted pleasure to carouse in the daytime. They are spots and blemishes, carousing in their own deceptions while they feast with you. Having eyes full of adultery and cannot cease from sin, enticing unstable souls, they have a heart trained in covetous practices and are accused children. They have forsaken the right way, and by and following the ways of Balaam the son of Beor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. But he was rebuked for his iniquity, a dumb donkey speaking with a man's voice.
We did that last time. How he wanted the money so bad. And then the angel stood against him because the angel didn't like what he was doing, about to kill him. And what happened? His donkey saved him, right? His female donkey saved him. And he keeps beating her. Eventually he talked and said to him, have I ever done that to you? And what did the angel say? He said, if your donkey did not move, you would have been killed, and I would have spared her to go alive. Yeah. Balaam. Anybody remember what Balaam suggested? That's one of the problems. Balaam is suggesting something to the king. Last thing we talked about. When Balaam could not curse the people, he failed. The priestesses, the girls who worship Baal, buy sexual stuff to go and entice the men of Israel to do it. And they did it. And actually in the book of Numbers, at the end of the book, Moses was 120 years old, very old man, was bringing the people to the border of the promised land. He's going to be done. And all of a sudden, the men of the people started to do this. He cried like a baby. He felt like all his work is in vain. He was beaten hard, and I think he killed him. It killed him when he saw people doing that. And what happened? A plague started immediately in the people. People started dying right and left. And none of them actually, those who committed that stuff, entered the promised land. So who suggested this? Because he's wicked, smart but evil. He said, I cannot curse them. God is forbidding me from cursing them. But they can curse themselves. I don't have to do anything. So when the devil cannot deal with you and cannot hurt you, what would the devil say? I'll let them hurt themselves. How would the devil suggest to hurt yourself? By surrendering to sin. Just giving up. Don't be holy anymore. Just give up. Say whatever you want to say. Whatever you hear, say it. Whatever you feel like, do it. And that's what Balaam said. They can curse themselves. And the Christian people can do the same. You can curse yourself. Nothing is going to separate you from Christ except what would separate you from Jesus? One thing, sin. When you do it out of your own will. Go ahead.
These are wells without water, crowds carried by an endless which deserve the blackness of darkness forever. So when they speak great swelling words of emptiness, they allure through the lust of the flesh. The rulers, the ones who have acted in Satan, and those who live in error. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are slaves of corruption. For by whom a person is overcome, by him also he is brought into bondage. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, they are again entangled in them and overcome, the latter end is worse for them than the beginning. For it would have been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness, and having known it, to turn from holy commandment delivered to them. But it has happened to them according to the true proverb, a dog returns to his own vomit, and the sow having watched the herd.
How do you spell sow? S-O-W? Well, S-A-W. A dog returns to its vomit, and the sow back to the mire, right? What is the mire? Mud. So you get a dog, and the dog sometimes gets sick and vomit whatever they have in their stomach, but they're dogs. They're not clean. They go back and do what? And then the pig who loves to be in the mud, you come and you like it, little piggy, and you pick it up, and then you get your hands dirty and take it to the water and wash it and clean it and all kinds of things, and then you put it back on the ground. What happens? It goes right back into the mud. That's pigs. Meaning what? They don't like to be clean. So he's saying sometimes people don't like to be clean. Cleaning to them is like, cleanness to them is like irritating. I can't be without sin. I have to be in sin. I can't. There's something wrong with me. That is what he's describing. Look at the list of things. He said there's like evil angels. He's saying in the evil angels of the flood and the Sodom, he said, they are many, but they did not twist God's arm. Because we said, when somebody says to me, Abun, everybody's doing it. You think God's going to destroy everybody? Okay, what do you think? Did he? He did. God doesn't care about numbers. What are we to God? So about numbers, he's saying these three examples. And then about nature, what he's saying, the character of them is like brute beasts, Balaam, the wells that has no water, and then the character of a dog and the saw. Their character, their inside characters is like this. Okay? He's talking about false prophets and false teaching that we should not. False teachers could be people who teach you to do sin. They're wise in doing things, sins. They know how to get there. They know how to discover it. You know how professionals sometimes they don't know there's a new thing they need to do. When I was working in the school, a lot of work that needed to be done. I had no clue about it. What do? It's easy. You go on YouTube and type how to fix a leaking water fountain. There's 100 YouTube videos about it. How to fix a light that's broken. How to do this, how to do that. People can tell you how to do sin on YouTube. And they will have the wisdom to give you that. If we are interested, we will follow. They become false teachers and false prophets. They are leading us away from God. Okay? Continue. Second is finished. Here I want to talk about two things. What's a heresy and what's a schism? There's two different things that actually hurt the church. These two are against the church. Because Jesus wants us to be one. What is heresy? Anyone?
A lie.
It's a lie. False teaching. And a lie. What if somebody does it but he doesn't know? You've talked to your friend and you read the Bible and somebody comes with the wrong answer. Is that a heresy? No. What is a heresy? Somebody intentionally teaching it to everybody. Okay? Intentionally taught to everyone. What's a schism? Just schismatic. Okay, let me tell you about something that happened recently. There is a man, when I was in college, I think, he was a monk, or maybe a consecrated man. You would hear that name, Atif Aziz. You heard that name before? That man teaches no heresy. He teaches no heresy. But he's saying this, listen carefully. What the church, the Coptic church is doing now is wrong. I have a better way of doing things that will lead us to heaven. So he started to make a group, take them out of the church, and have their own liturgies, have their own prayer meetings, they have their own retreats, and they follow his rule of prayer, and everybody who is in this group would feel different, will feel like I belong to the right church. The mainstream church, Coptic church, is not the right thing. There is no heresy in it. There is no wrong teaching in what he's doing. But he's teaching people they have to be outside the Coptic church. So what's that called? Schismatic. He's dividing the church. When you create a new group and you call it the right church and you ask people not to be in the church, you're actually dividing the church. It is against Christ. I used to have a father, a spiritual father who passed. He went to heaven. A holy man, a good man. He made this point. He said, when you talk about the Catholic Church, Protestant churches, the Anglican Church, the Evangelical Church, the Methodist, and the Copts and the Syrian, it's like Jesus on the cross. When they wanted to divide, what did they divide? They divided his body? Did they? The soldiers were down trying to divide what? His clothes, his garments. But they did not divide the body because they didn't break his legs. So the body was intact, but the garments were divided. So the churches that we have today, the Christian churches, is like dividing the garment of Christ. The same body, but we're dividing the garment. We're not hitting the body of Christ. So that's schism does not hurt the body of Christ. So that's why we have different churches. But again, it's one that will actually break the body. That will break the body. But to have a Greek Orthodox, Chalcedonians, non-Chalcedonians, Catholic, is not going to hurt. That it's not a heresy. It's going to be schism, dividing, but not dividing the body. Okay. So remember, the difference between heresy is a false teaching that hurts the body. That is dividing the church. If it doesn't hurt, it divides. But still, it's not a good thing at all. Don't follow schismatics and don't follow heretics. What he's talking about. Chapter 3. So what's a heresy? False teaching. Give me examples. We just talked about two. Jehovah's Witness and Mormons. What's a schism? It's no false teaching. There's not going to be a new faith or new revelation or anything like the Jehovah's Witness, but it is a dividing of the church. This man affected the church in D.C. big time. Big time. The church in D.C., including the priest, had followed that man. And now they have a totally new system in the church. Everything is upside down. So that church, the priest left. Most of the people that followed him left. They're not there anymore. And there is, I'm sorry to say that, but you have to know because you're going to hear about these things. So when somebody asks me, what do you think of him? I said, he's not a heretic. He is schismatic. Schismatic, a person who wants to divide the church. Okay? Next. Yes? Rachel, you said something? Okay, go ahead. Chapter 3. What's a scoffer? What's a scoffer? Yeah. To scoff is to ridicule. Can you look it up? What's a scoffer? And the last days, people will actually be ridiculing, making fun of. Yeah.
A scoffer is someone who jeers or mocks or treats something with contempt or calls out in derision.
So he's mocking, ridiculing, or jeering. Like they would say, you say that Jesus is coming back. Where is Jesus? It's been 2,000 years now. You've got to be kidding. He's not coming. And they make jokes about that. Okay? What's St. Peter's going to answer? What's he going to say? Continue.
By the word of God, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of water, and in the water.
So the first heaven, he called it first heaven and earth, were made by water. Because you know how it started? The earth was covered with water, and God let the earth appear, and the earth appeared, and everything came out of the water. So the first earth was made by water. Okay?
By which the world that existed perished, being flooded with water. But the heavens and the earth, which are now preserved by the same word, are reserved for fire until the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men.
So he said the first heaven and first earth in the time of Noah, what happened? They were made out of water and they were flooded by water. But this earth and heaven, he called it a different, like a new earth and heaven, is made by God's word for fire. What's he going to say about that? So how is this earth and heaven will end? By fire. So let's continue.
But beloved, do not forget this one thing, that with the Lord 1 day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some count slackness,
What does it mean? One day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. With God,
Time
He doesn't feel time. He doesn't feel time like we do. He's outside time. To Him, one day is like 1,000 years. He can slow time for Himself. He can speed it up. I will tell you something about God. This is something that will blow your mind. With God, now, Adam's created, Christ is crucified, the end of time, and we are with Him in heaven. All together. So it's almost like we are on this table. We have to walk the table from beginning to end like ants. But you, like a human being outside the table, can see the whole table. And in that table on the side, this is Adam, this is the end of time. And you see it all at the same time. With God, it is the same. I can give you an example. You know what light year is? What's a light year? Anybody knows? Yes?
The amount of time light takes to reach like us.
Light year is a distance. It's the distance the light travel. You're right there. But it's the only word I'm looking for is a distance. So light year, it's a year, time, but it's actually a space. So space and time, according to Einstein, is the same thing. So he's saying God outside time sees everything, so it doesn't matter for him. Okay? Continue.
For His long suffering toward us, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt with.
I wouldn't stop there because we only have the few verses. What's he saying about the end of time? Say it again. The heaven and earth will
Pass away with a great noise.
with a great noise. So that flood came with a water sound. What's the end will come with? Actually, what kind of fire would melt elements? Think about it. What kind of fire that would melt elements? Melt iron, melt everything. Rocks. What kind of fire is that? Hmm?
Lava.
Lava, but lava cools off. What kind of fire, what kind of energy that can melt everything? Huh? Yes, Shelly? Yeah? You're going to say tacos, fire. Tacos. What fire can melt everything? Nuclear fire. You know what nuclear explosion sound like? It's horrible. It is horrible. People who survived the Japanese bombs tell you something that you don't want to be in. It's really scary. It shakes the very air that we send, and once you start feeling it, you know they're gonna be dead, killed. So it actually melts everything, melts the elements. Nuclear fire that would actually melt everything together. Okay, continue. I hope I'm not gonna be there when this happens. It's really scary. There's signs in the Bible that Jesus will come to take His people before this happens, because whoever gonna stay in this, bad luck, really bad. This is the worst thing you can ever be exposed to. There's no place to run. There's nothing, actually nothing. Our own body starts to boil. Let's go. Continue.
Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. Therefore, since all these things will be dissolved, what manner of person ought you to be in holy conduct and godliness, looking for and hastening the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be dissolved, being on fire, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to His promise, look for new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells. Therefore, beloved, looking forward to these things, be diligent to be found by Him in peace, without spot and blameless. And consider that the long-suffering of our Lord is salvation, as also our beloved brother Paul, according to the wisdom given.
So he says, when God is patient and doesn't come quickly, what should I think of it? Like He doesn't come today. He didn't come yesterday. Why? Why didn't He come? And the church keep calling, Jesus, please come. Why He didn't come? Because when He comes, what will happen? We will be judged. Everybody will be judged. So what does that mean when He's not coming? Okay, you didn't do your homework, and the teacher doesn't ask for it and give you another week. Why is that? Because he's ignoring it? What is it? What do you think if a good teacher is giving you one more week? Huh? giving chance to those who had not finished their homework. So if Jesus doesn't come, means he's giving a chance to those who are not ready. Because if he comes, everybody will have to stop what they're doing and answer to him. So St. Paul said the same thing. Continue.
As also in all his epistles speaking in them of these things, which are some things hard to understand, which untaught and unstable people twist to their own destruction, as they do also the rest of the Christians.
So he calls St. Paul writings as difficult to understand. And he calls it part of the scriptures, part of the Bible. St. Peter calls Paul writing part of the Bible. Do you understand what that means? He lives with him in the same time. But he calls Paul writing as part of scriptures. Okay?
You therefore, beloved, since you know this beforehand, beware, lest you also fall from your own steadfastness, being led away with the error of the wicked. But grow in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. To him be the glory both now and forever. Amen.
To grow in the knowledge and the grace. And that's how we finish. Grace. To grow in the grace. How do you grow in the grace? Those of us who love Jesus from all their hearts will grow in grace. When they practice love in their prayer, when they practice love in their life, when we listen, we try to do whatever Jesus wants us to do. We love him. We love him when you stand to pray, and every word you say, it says, I love you, Lord. I want you to come. I love you from all my heart. I love you more than anything else. When you pray like that, the Holy Spirit will fill you, and then you will be filled with grace. Next time when we come, God willing, so he's asking to grow in the knowledge and the grace. Next time when we come, we're going to study Jude. We're going to skip over John. I'll tell you why. Jude is exactly chapter 2 in Peter. Exactly. Jude is exactly chapter 2. And I want you to read it so you understand this is a common teaching among the apostles in the time. So all the apostles agreed on the same thing. Okay? Great. Let's say our Father. In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father who art in heaven, thy kingdom come. May the love of God the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you